Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. In 2023, it got to be a high of 120 degrees. Well, it does every summer now here in Phoenix. And every time you turned on the radio, Taylor Swift was singing her Cruel Summer. I thought the song was literally written about the heat wave. I didn't know that song until it became popular again the second time around. I realized it was written a few years before that, but that song has kind of become symbolizing of hot weather now. And to give you an idea of how hot it was, one day I needed to get something from under the seat in my car. I had stopped the car and I turned off the car. And as soon as I turned the key into the off position, it was like the car was never on in the first place. It was like I had to run. I literally had to turn on the car again to fish whatever I needed under the seat of my car. And that was not an unusual circumstance. Where this becomes problematic is that every time I'm looking to move in with roommates, I feel stressed out about having to make the decision then and there because of how hot it is. You can't really sleep in your car, right? It's starting to cool off a little bit. Last week, I went to look at a potential roommate, and I got the sense that this is not going to work. He was complaining about former roommates. Like every one of them, he was complaining. And I read between the lines. He didn't complain in the sense that, oh my God, this is such a bad roommate. This is such a bad roommate. He complained in very subtle ways. Thank God I wasn't stressed. So I was able to listen between those lines. And I pretended to sympathize with him, but I saw right through it. And I walked away from that in large part because the weather is nicer. So I actually had patience to sit through that. I've learned the hard way that if you're desperate for a roommate, you're going to make rash decisions and you're often going to jump from one bad roommate to another. Now that the weather is better, I'm hoping to use the next 2-3 months to find my forever roommates and maybe even a forever life partner now that I'm not in a jam, right? I missed out 10 years ago when I was living with my parents. That would have been a great time to look for good future roommates because I'm not desperate. If it doesn't work, I have a good place to go home and crash. Unfortunately, at the time, I had other things on my mind, and so I let that opportunity sail. If I pivot my career to Taiwan, I got a grandmother there I could live with. I could probably play it that way, right? Not to mention, there's a lot of good roommates in Taiwan as well. The roommate situation here in the US almost seems like how the dating situation looks like, right? The people who are looking for roommates, often it's because they have some. The people who are left looking for roommates, it's often for good reason, right? The people who are not looking for roommates, it's because they're good roommates to be. Right? It almost feels like the dating scene. It's very akin to that, right? One thing I thought about is you guys remember how I got back in the dating scene, right? I could potentially offer people rewards for helping me find the right roommates. I thought about that. I thought about it. Uh, I got to admit, I kind of overran the budget with the whole dating reward program, though. So I'll have to think hard about it. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.